Welcome to JustMen, a life-changing program that resonates hope as well as encouragement. The program that gives you information and inspiration for the glory of God. I'm your host, Jeff Tate, and thank you for joining JustMen. On today's program, we have a very special program. We're actually going to go behind the scene of our first men's conference, celebrating over 13 years of empowering men into their destiny. Our program has been successful and that has reached your heart and changing your lifestyle and your attitude about what it takes to be a true man of God. I tell you, when you watch this video, you're going to be empowered by the conference speakers. We had an opening keynote speaker, we had a closing keynote speakers, we had an athletes panel discussion, we had a clergy panel discussion, and young adults and musicians. I tell you, it was impactful and powerful. So without further ado, let's go behind the scene of our first men's conference titled Reclaiming Your Identity.
Friday when he's supposed to get the results. And he gets a text message from the doctor that the results are in. He gets it at lunchtime. He calls the doctor and says, hey, can I run down there right quick and get the results? Or can you just tell me? No. Wait until after work because this is going to take some time. Is there something wrong? Kinda. I gotta go. I got another client. Have any of you ever taken a test and been waiting for the results? Anybody in the room? Have any of you ever taken a test and those results were either gonna make you or break you? Do you remember that feeling? Whew. Imagine being 40 stories up on a beam with that feeling. He couldn't eat all day. When he got off work, he ran the 4 blocks to the doctor's office. The security guard said, whoa, what are you doing? He said, look, I'm here to see the doctor. The doctor said, no, let him come on in. He's with me. And he says, you might want to sit down for this. He goes, why? You might want to sit down for this one. Okay. DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, right? It's in your chromosomes. You have half from your mom, half from your dad. It's in strings, and the strings really are an alphabet, and DNA is the instruction set. It sets forth into your cells what those cells are supposed to become. So when you have cellular division at the beginning of life, that DNA says, you go become a hair follicle, and you go become fingernail, and you go become bone, and you become a spine. It is an instruction set. It is a letter that says this is who you are and this is what you're going to be. A lot of you guys in this room don't understand who you are because you are living off the alphabet soup that your dad left you. AGCT is the sequence. And you know we can take 26 letters in an alphabet and we can make 26 trillion different words with just those 26 letters. Such is that of the DNA. And he said, so we're able to look at the AGCT, look at the patterns, and those patterns have a signature. You put them together a certain way, and it's that person. And we were looking at the patterns and matching it against the database. And this man that you said abandoned you, and this woman that you said left you, that's not your mother and your father. Can't be. It can't be. Well, who am I? Well, you're not who you think you are. Who am I? When I saw you sitting there on the park bench, you had kind of a, I don't know. You guys have met those guys that just have that thing. They're somebody. I've run into people in the airport and I've seen other people walk up to them. You must be somebody. It's an energy, it's a bearing. He said, you have that. Has anybody ever told you that before? And he said, yeah. My boss tells me that all the time. My haters tell me that in the reverse way all the time. He said, well, it turns out that your real father was a reclusive billionaire. And he's actually part of a royal lineage. He was here in America. He was working. He was in exile. He had met this wonderful woman. They got together. They got married, they had a baby, someone found out about his royal lineage, and they kidnapped your mother while she was pregnant with you. You were born, and they killed her, and they gave you up for adoption. The couple that adopted you because there was a check that came with your adoption. If they'd take care of the child, they could get some money for taking care of the child. So the reason that they never loved you is because you were nothing to them but a check. But you, sir, have royal lineage. Your father was a billionaire. Wow. So what does that mean now? Well, if you take the results from this, if you can scrap together $1,000 and get a flight over to Switzerland, there's a Swiss bank account. Wow. In that bank account, we've come to understand that there are billions of dollars, but they won't tell us how much. But as soon as we put your DNA into the computer, they called us. They've been searching for you. This money was laid up for you by your father. You think you could get there? He said, I can get there. I can get 1,000. I'll sell a kidney if I have to. He said, now, with this realization of who you really are, everything in your life is going to change. All you have to do is go and present the results to verify, and they're going to hand you keys. So he goes back to work. Billy, I got something to tell you. What? I need to get an advance on my paycheck. Why? I can't tell you right now. I need $1,000 to take care of something really important. Would you help me? He said, you know what? You're a great worker. Yes. Can I have 3 days off? He says, yes. Okay. Gives him the $1,000. He scrambles, gets a flight. He goes over to this bank in Switzerland. He comes to the door, and as soon as he gets to the door, this well-dressed, well-groomed man says, we were expecting you. And before he can say anything, everybody starts moving and making deference to him. No, no, no. You sit here, sir. You sit here. No, no, no. Can I get you a glass of water? Would you like something to drink? Are you hungry? How was your trip over? And he goes, well, I need to show you this. And he goes, we know, but let me open it and verify. Wow. Sir, I will be right back with your keys. Please, I'm very sorry if we've inconvenienced you in any way. I'm very sorry, sir. I'll be right back. Guy goes running off, comes back with the keys to the safe deposit box. And he puts the keys in his hands. And as soon as the keys hits his hands, everybody in the room knows he's royalty and he's rich. He's just finding that out. Puts the keys in the safe deposit box, opens it up, and in there is a letter and a picture. Now, the letter entitles him to all of his father's wealth, but there's a picture of his father. On the back of the picture, it says, in hopes that one day you will see this and know who you are. He looked at this picture of this man, and it was almost like he was holding a pocket-sized mirror. He could see the nose, the eyes, the face. I'm royalty. I'm royalty. I'm royalty. The banker comes in and says, sir, we've taken care of everything for you. I know you're headed back to the States. The private jet is fueled up. The Maybach limo is going to take you to your jet, and at touchdown there will be a limo waiting for you at the private airport in New York, and they will take you to your penthouse, and you will start your new life. He walks out. Limo's there. All these attendants are there. Gets in the private jet, and then as he's flying back, he's like, wow, I was royalty all this time, and I didn't know it. Know it. The movie. I got 3 minutes to try to bring this home. Referee, can you bonus me 5? But just bonus me 5. Because I needed this. So I've been studying screenwriting, right? I also like science, so I've been studying nuts and bolts. He is the author and finisher of our faith. Here's what I've learned from studying screenwriting. When you write a screenplay, the author of the screenplay has to control the entire world. He has to create the entire world, its boundaries and all of the characters. He has to know the end of the story before he writes it. He's got to know the end of the story before he writes it. That's what makes him author and finisher, right? So we're sitting there in the screenwriting class, and the guy was saying, if you're going to create a world, you have to create the entire world. You have to create every character. You have to create your main character, and you have to bring him to the progressive realization of the end of the story that you planned for him. Ooh-wee. Identity crisis. When you have a main character in a movie, you have to show the dimensionality of that character. You have to show all the different sides of the character. And the way you reveal the dimensionality of a character is not by saying, this guy's sometimes lazy, sometimes he's mean, he's a womanizer. You don't say any of that. That's all subtext. You reveal it. And the way you reveal it is by using action. Action in 3 ways. You either introduce a hard choice that your character has to make, you either subject him to a serious conflict that he has to face, or you introduce a character that will antagonize him. And as he faces the hard choices of life and the conflicts of life and the characters that antagonize him, you will see peeled away from him all of the game face, and you start to see the dimensions of that character. A bolt and a nut. A bolt has threads on it. If you ever look at the inside of a nut, it has threads on it. Every time I hand a nut and a bolt to any group of people, without instruction, they go. They don't even hesitate. You've never seen a nut and a bolt come with a little piece of paper that says, this is how you do this. No, it is implied in the design. If there's this groove and this groove, you put them together. And this is what I discovered about my own identity crisis. I didn't know who I was, Brother Terry. I was living with what I thought I knew about myself. The choices that I've made in my life that have been bad kind of wore a groove inside of my heart. The conflicts that I've had to make have worn a groove in my life, if you will. The characters in my life that have antagonized me have worn a groove in me. And I thought it was all for nothing because I was left with a big hole. They tell me when you make a nut, it is a hot forge process. You take a blank and you subject it to a lot of heat, and then you take an awl that is threaded and you drill a hole into it, leaving a thread. It's a hot process. And then you take that blank and you cut a hexagon shape around the outside. So on the inside, there's a groove, and on the outside, there's a hexagonal shape so that the wrench can tighten you up. You know what Barry asked his boss one day? He said, "Boss, why do we use these nuts and bolts?" He said, "Because this is what holds the world together." He said, "Look, if you look at the inside of a bolt, it implies that it belongs to something. All of that stuff that you've been through in your life, God was cutting a groove in you that only He could fill so it would hold you together." The characters, the conflicts, the choices in your life have all brought you to a moment where you could realize who you really are. Because once you know this, once you know that you were threaded for God and God only, Look, you can take nuts and bolts. If you get a bolt that's too small and a nut that's too big, it'll go in, but there's nothing to hold on to. Any of you ever had an experience where you tried to put something in the hole, but it didn't hold you? I'll say it again. You tried to put something in the hole, but it didn't hold you? You have no idea who you are. And it is not until we do a blood test on you that we know. The test results are in. You're a child of the King. Claim. To claim something means to demand as a right, to assert one's right to. If you are reclaiming your identity, it is not a request, it is a demand that you recognize yourself and be recognized as a child of the King. God bless you.
I tell you, we have a powerful panel here, and I'm gonna start to my right, your left, introducing this gentleman, Chris Sanders. Chris played collegiate football at Ohio State University. Oh, the Ohio State. You always say that to me every time I talk to him. You always got to go the Ohio State, man. Everybody know who you are, man. We already know who you are. So what we know about, what the DNA test said, man. Yeah, man. So we're going to talk about what the talent came out of that DNA, though, okay? We'll talk about the talent anyway. Chris, of course, received his Bachelor of Arts degree in education. He also participated in track and field and was awarded an All-American 11 times in the track and field. One of Chris' memorable accomplishments was breaking the legendary Jesse Owens indoor long jump with 26 and 9.5 inches. Wow, that's a long way, brother. Man. In 1995, Chris was chosen as a third-round draft pick for the Houston Oilers, now, of course, the Tennessee Titans. He was also a member of the Super Bowl 34 team. Wow, in 2000. Chris and his wife, Casey, have 3 children. We have Chris Sanders. Welcome to the panel. All right, I don't know how I got both of them on this panel, but Jonathan Orr. Jonathan was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit in the house. He attended the University of Wisconsin. Man, how did they get you in Wisconsin, man, from Ohio, from Detroit? Wow. He was on a football scholarship, earned his bachelor's degree in community leadership. Jonathan was drafted by the Tennessee Titans again in 2006. He spent his time in the NFL playing with the Tennessee Titans and the Oakland Raiders. He and his wife are proud parents of 3 children. Welcome, Jonathan. All right, Ricky Waller, Minister Ricky Waller. Ricky opened us up with prayer. I tell you, Ricky was an outstanding athlete in the city here in Nashville, well known for his athleticism. He was one of the most talked about, promising athletes in Nashville history, growing up in Preston Taylor Homes projects. Minister Waller traded his athletic abilities for a self-destructive life overshadowed by drugs and addiction. He overcame his addiction and made a commitment to a life-challenged lifestyle to an underlying message: God is able. He has been free for over 21 years, Ricky Waller. Wow. right, my man, Bob Kinzer. Bobby P. Kinzer. Mr. Kinzer is a native of Washington, D.C. He attended Penn State University and Texas A&I University on a 4-year basketball scholarship. He played professional basketball in London, England. Mr. Kinzer has worked 27 years in finance and the banking industry. He currently works as a senior financial management analyst for the FDIC. Please welcome Mr. Bob Kinzer. All right. Well, hey, man, we're going to hit the ground running. I am going to start my first line of questions with Chris. The question is asked, how did you reclaim your identity, which had been tied to people, places, possessions, and your professions, once those things were ultimately removed?
I just think that I had to understand, just like what the speaker was saying, is understanding who I was. You know, football was what I did. It wasn't who I was. And that's kind of really was the essence of my life. I'm just kind of saying an illustration. When I talk, I give a lot of stories, so you just kind of have to hope you can bear with it. But I remember one time I went to a celebrity event, and there was a guy that walked by, and I was calling him Hank, but his name was Daryl. So I'm like, man, you know, why aren't you responding to what I called you? The reason why he didn't respond is because that wasn't his name. I'm trying not to preach.
You got to.
But see, the thing about it is, the reason why I struggled with my identity early in my life is because I was responding to the wrong name.
I'm pausing, brother, because there must be more, brother. For me to pause, there must be more.
No, it's more. I'm keep going. I'm going. I'm just. Because that's why we as men, man, can I stand? Can I just preach for a second? I can't stand still.
You can run.
See,
You want to run.
The reason why we as men struggle is because we're responding to what the enemy is saying. I remember in Genesis 3 when Adam and Eve messed up. Adam and Eve messed up. They did all this wrong stuff. And the first thing they said is, we're naked and we're unashamed. But the one thing that I love about God is God walked up to him and said, who told you that? Basically what he was saying is, where did you get your information from? So if I get, I didn't mean to stand up, but if I get the right information, then I can understand my identity. So once I get my DNA and I learn of who God says who I am, then I can walk as a king, as a priest, in everything that God's called me to. I can't stay. The reason why I'm standing up and I'm so excited is because I failed so many times in my life. And it's got to get a point to where I got to stop failing and understand who I am. Because if God created everything from the beginning, that means he has a purpose for me. Go ahead. I didn't mean to get all excited.
Lord.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but man, my man that spoke got me excited back there. I'm sorry. Am I messing up the conference?
No.
Oh.
What did you tell us? You one of the Chris statements he made when we were setting up today. He said, "Let's keep it real. Yeah. Let's be transparent. Let's keep it real. We are men. God said He called men because you're strong, and so we can handle the truth, right? We can handle the truth. All right. We'll go to the next question, Jonathan. How has finding your purpose enlightened you to understand your identity?
Before I even answer the question, and with the theme of keeping it real, since our conversation the other night when we were preparing for the conference, I felt a little, I guess, inadequate to even be sitting up here, only because I feel like and I'll probably be at this stage for the rest of my life. I'm trying to figure it out, you know what I mean? And so, but the one thing I know is that even though I don't have the answers, and what the gentleman that spoke earlier said is so true, and it pertains to me. Like, you know, a lot of people may think I have the answers. I can put on that face or that everything is like I know what's going on, but in actuality, I don't a lot of times. So I'm at a stage now where I'm the whole purpose thing, like I'm in it. I'm discovering what it is now, but I haven't arrived, and I've been, you know, probably never will arrive. as far as just understanding it all. But the good thing about it, and the one thing that I can say is that I know who does have all the answers. And I know, like Chris said, that he has a purpose for me. And similar to what Chris said, my identity for so long was wrapped up in the things that I did. Just being an athlete and a decent student. So the world will tell you, hey, you know, give you all these accolades and all of this attention and I believed it. Like, this is who I am. And so it wasn't until college that question, like, who am I really started to play on me. I mean, here I was at a Division I school on ESPN. You know how it is, Chris. Anything you want is pretty much at your fingertips, but it was an emptiness that I could not explain. And when I was 19, sitting in my dorm room with a buddy, a Christian buddy of mine on the phone that I accepted Jesus into my life, man, and he saved me, man, and that's when that process of discovery and the realization of my identity really started to happen. And so since then, just discovering who I am, apart from the stuff that I do, that's not who I am. And so discovering that at the essence of who I am is a child of the King. And so when football went away, when the all of the accolades went away, when all the attention went away, I struggled because I didn't realize that I didn't fully realize that none of that stuff was making me who I am. It was just what I did. And so I thank God, man, for just coming into the awareness and the knowledge that I'm a man. Apart from all the stuff that I do, I'm a man. I'm a Christian man. I'm a son of God. That's who I am. And now knowing that, I understand part of the package, if you will, is that he's created me for a purpose. Like, I'm a husband, I'm a father, these things, but it's not all that I am is just what I do. So I don't even know if I answered the question. I know we'll get into some more, but
brother, you messed up in your heart, brother. Yeah. All right, Minister Ricky. The question asked: why do you have a concern for people in inner city who once held you trapped and captive in darkness?
That's a good question. I want to thank God for me being here to be able to sit here right now. You know, it's really a blessing because I just want to recall about what happened to me as a young brother growing up. And I loved sports, especially basketball. And I used to be out in the yard playing by myself. And I used to aim the basketball at this certain spot on the shed in the projects. And I could hit that spot, and I could throw the ball behind my back, and I could do a lot of tricks with the ball and a lot of things like that. But in the meantime, it was a lot of activities going on. And one of the guys that was the kingpin out there where I stayed at, later on he became the kingpin #1 when he went to prison. But before that, he let me look through some money one time. And he said if I can find any $1 bills, $5 bills, 10s, and 20s, that I can have all of them. So I was excited about it and pulled out his bankroll and gave it to him. I went to searching through it. And before I got finished, I noticed he was laughing a little bit. The reason why